Howdy, folks. What's going on? This is Outlaw Hatfield back at you one more time. Running about 20 minutes late. Got caught up over in match chat, but that's all fine and good. Um, he had a great show tonight. Uh, I'm going to be sending out some links in just a second. I do apologize again for being late, but it was worth it. We were going back and listening to one of my old chats on conspiracy theories from months ago. So, you know, he was asking about the Travi conspiracy. I finally went back and found the video, sent him the link to it. Um, it's out there, guys. If anybody's interested in it, just let me know and I will send you a link so you can go back and watch that one. Uh, it was a great track. That was probably one of my most popular videos I've ever made. Um, that was a lot of fun. A lot of people apparently liked it because, like I said, it's one of my most viewed videos. So at the moment, I am sending out some links to some individuals who are normally here. My buddy Gizzard has to be in here. He's the co-host. He's the guy that. Oh, that was the wrong link that I actually sent him. Yay! I don't know how I managed to do that. Uh, but what we'll do is we'll do it like this and send him the right link this time. There it is. Now we're cooking with peanut oil. Um, but yeah, I do that from time to time myself. I'll go back and listen to some of the old shows. Uh, it was good stuff. It really was. So sometimes it's good to go back and see where you came from. See where it all started. Um, some of those first few interviews I had done. Um, I didn't the one-on-one last week with Ghost Tactical Trade, and I went back before that show and re-listened to the first interview, and we have both grown so much as channels in that bit of time. It's just amazing. Uh, there's been so much of a change within myself, within him. Our channels have grown. He's done amazing. Clover Tech, I did a interview with him. He was one of the first few that I had done. G Webs jumped on for a chat one night. And eventually I will have all these guys back and I will do more and more and more interviews with them because, they always have something new to talk about, something new to discuss, something new that's going on with them and their projects and what they're planning on doing in the future, and what they've done over the last year, even. Especially G Webs. My God, he's been traveling all over the place, doing all kinds of things and seeing sights. And uh, I've said it before, I'll say it again. He's the guy that keeps his feet to the fire, and he's always moving and trying to push the Second Amendment in every way, shape, form, and phantom you could imagine. And the man's a workhorse. He really is. Um, he probably is not one that accept all the praise that we dish out gracefully, but it's true. It really is. We all know that he's the guy that's holding everything together over on Gun Channels. It's his baby, and he does a fine job. And a lot of what we're doing, we wouldn't be doing if not for G. So, um, show appreciation to the man because he definitely deserves it. He's said it before a million times. He's not in this to get famous. He's not in it to make money. He's in it to, get out there and push the Second Amendment. And well, I applaud him. Gee, you are the man. And you do have a link. I sent you one. Anyway, guys, I'm going to shoot out a few more links. The channel's been rather busy today. I ran for, about 8 hours today already. I opened up the early chat today and kept it going till, I guess, 6, 7 o'clock. So, it's just been a pretty good day, all in all. Ghost, to see you out there. I know you just jumped off match chat, but if you want to jump in here for a little while, I'd love to have you. I sent you a link. But yeah, man, some of these old chats, I like to go back and revisit and listen to them, just get a feel for them again. And get to know these guys again. I was just starting out. I've never really gotten nervous doing the one-on-one interviews. What makes me nervous most of all are the panel chats, because I really don't know where they're going to go. The one-on-ones don't bother me. Hey, G, how you doing? Hey, Gary.
Hey.
How are you gentlemen tonight? Oh, good. G, where are you at tonight? You back in Arizona, or are you somewhere else?
I know.
Okay. When you planning on heading back to the road?
That would be a long story, but hopefully one day again.
Shot.
Show.
Yeah, that.
Do you call Phoenix the road? I'll be in Phoenix this weekend, probably.
Well, that would be the road to me. That's a bit of a drive for you, isn't it? A few hours?
Nah, next town over. Well, yeah, but next town over. There's nothing else between here.
All desert.
Well, it's just that out here, yeah, it's like, town and town and town, so nothing in between. So I'm just saying, it might be distance away, but it's literally the only other next thing over. So we don't consider it traveling. We just go to the next town over.
Well, Gary, what are you into tonight?
What am I into?
Yeah, what are you into? What are you doing? What's up?
Not a whole lot. I've been watching match chat and doing a little online shopping, or looking anyway. I didn't actually buy nothing.
Oh, come on now. It's Cyber Monday. You got to buy something.
Yeah, I haven't done it yet, but I still got the page up.
You thinking about buying something special for yourself?
Well, it'd be for me. I don't know how special it is. Just junk I don't need, but that's what I work for.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. Can't take it to the grave with you, so you might as well spend it while it's here.
That's right. I either spend it or my kids get to later.
Well,
I enjoy it a lot more if I get to spend it.
I very rarely get to spend any of my own money. It's nice to be able to do that once in a while.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be a wonderful life if you got to keep every penny that you made without having to do things like pay bills
and taxes?
Oh yeah. Well, don't get me started on taxes. That's a subject that I just irks the piss out of me. And the main reason why is because a federal income tax is a direct tax, and therefore it is illegal. It's unconstitutional. And yet, since what, World War II, we've been paying this thing? So, and it was only supposed to last until the end of the war. See how well that worked out. You give the government an inch, they're going to take a mile. And it's like that with everything. That's why, and I'm sure you two will agree with this, that's why it's so important that we do not give them an inch when it comes to the Second Amendment, because if we do, as you've seen in the past, They're going to take that inch and they're going to get more and more and more until all we've got left is slingshots and marbles.
And then we won't be a free society anymore.
Yeah, well, that's why it's so important that we keep fighting the fight that we're fighting right now. And we get more people on board. And here's the thing, guys. I was thinking about this earlier today. The guys that are our age that are into this fight, we're old dogs. We've been doing it a long time. What we need to do is get the next generation talking about it. What we need to do is get the teenagers talking about it, because they're the ones that's going to be fighting this fight when they're our age. And by the time they're our age, they've got to get their children and their grandchildren fighting the same fight and keep it going.
Yeah.
It has to be multi-generational.
Well, so you can't just wish that to happen.
Yeah.
To affect change. So how do you influence someone's decision on what to even talk about? I think you either have to create content that's interesting or intriguing, that offers them something that they're not getting other places, and you create that, and then hopefully a conversation happens, and when someone goes to look for that kind of information, you become part of the results of that search. And then something about your work hopefully intrigues them to, follow on to the next link. So just dropping information on the internet and walking away from it, that accomplishes, the task of getting information out there. Or if you're just making selfies and pushing them out there, that gets them out there. But if you want to accomplish something with that content, put a link to the next video that might have something to do with it. We were talking about this. Here's a link, and this is probably where the discussion will head, and then head a link to that. So if you think about it as you're putting down breadcrumbs for somebody who's exploring the topic or researching, then you make that more useful for them. Now they've got something to talk about, and maybe they talk about it with their peers or whatever. I think the second thing that none of us have really done at all, except for maybe Clover, is invite them into the conversations. We do it occasionally when they come around. We've had a couple of youngins come into gun channels and hang. A couple of them have stuck around until they become, older people. Ballistic is a great example. He came in when he was like 17 or 18. I think he came in when he was 17, and he was talking about how he was gonna do this and that when he was 18, if I remember right. And then he's been around for 5 years, so if he came in when he was 17, he's 22 now. He's built a house. I think he's married or getting married. And, aside from him, we don't have too many youngins. For a little while, I guess we had some kids that were doing like Gun Guns podcast every Sunday. I think it was every Sunday. Maybe it was every other Sunday. These young guys would get together under 21 and talk about guns without any old guys in there. But even that was a segregation, right? So how often do we put up a chat once a month? Do we put up a chat once a month and say, hey, any youngins that want to jump in, feel free? And obviously 13 and older for the internet is, considered young, but not a child or whatever. So they can, be on websites and interact, but maybe even make it 16 or 17 when they're old enough to make a purchasing decision already, or be part of the community, or join the fucking army or whatever they're going to do, so that they can come in and ask questions and be part of it. Because outreach to youngins is, I think, what we're lacking is the youngins. Us saying that they should be, or we need them, is just like saying what we want for Christmas.
That's a good point, G. It really is. And that's I don't have any kids of my own. And if I did, I'd be pushing them hard, over the Second Amendment. But for you guys that do,
that's why you don't have kids. You're not allowed to push them. That's like illegal.
Yeah, haha. But I do have nieces. I do have nephews that I've talked to about guns and try to, explain things to them as best as I can. Does anybody that knows me knows that I'm not very articulate when it comes to words. I am what I am, and I don't try to hide the fact. But guys like Ghost, who has his daughter out there and has actually had her doing videos with him, or Clover, who works with these children, or any of you other guys out there that has children that you go shooting with, get them involved. Put them on YouTube and let them talk about some of their ideas, some of their thoughts on the Second Amendment. Because the younger generation, even the teenagers that's putting out videos pro gun, it's going to take an effect. People are going to start paying attention to it.
Well, if I had kids around that were interested in doing anything, or that I had more influence on, giving them ideas or whatever, obviously guns is a no-brainer. That's necessary for the survival of the country and shit. But I think getting them a healthy knowledge of how to use the internet instead of just using the easy parts of it, but understanding how it works and why it works and how our efforts can influence, what either happens or what, how the engine works out there. Because if I was a kid and somebody gave me this thing that was infinitely manipulable, right? Like a giant thing of Play-Doh, but unlike Play-Doh or an Etch-a-Sketch where you're doing it by yourself, and the best you can hope to do is take a picture of it and share that picture. You're working on a platform that everyone's involved in. You can literally be part of it all. And that's what kids want to do, right? They want to learn and they want to be a part of it. They can't wait to get out the gate and start being part of the game. And if you're giving them the tools like the internet, they've got knowledge, they've got interest, and they've got time, and they've got ambition, and they got a whole life worth of stuff in front of them. If I had a kid, they'd know how to use the internet, and then I'd hopefully give them a good, strong gun education and let them go, because the amount of stuff that they could get done compared to what most adults have time to do. You know what I mean?
Incredible. Yeah, it's a whole different ball of wax.
Yeah.
And they don't. I mean, grant you, they have their own set of responsibilities, homework, this, that, and the other, but they don't have a 9-to-5 jobs they have to go to every single day. They get a lot more time off than we do, for the most part, anyway. And I think that's a great idea. I would love to see a group of the parents of Gun Channel kids, to these people that have kids, get these kids together and let them do shows like we're doing. Get them on panel chats with just each other. Keep the adults out of it. Listen in, make sure it's, they stay on topic, but and I know they're capable of doing it.
Stay on topic just like their parents do, right?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. It don't always have to be about guns, though. I mean, we stray. I mean, like I say all the time about gun channels, it's not just always about guns. We do have other interests, and we do talk about those other interests. Let them do the same thing.
If it was just about interest, it'd be like potholes or something, where people can come together all around town and be like, we're sick of the potholes. But this is something that's more community culture type of thing. If you're into guns, you're into hunting and going to the gun shows and knowing what it's like to have to, hide your political opinions and shit. So, we've got like this brotherhood or whatever. And that is, it ends up ending, we end up being more, I think, friendly and sociable, like I say, compared to something like no sugar in schools. I doubt those people really come together and give that much of a shit. It's just sort of a no-brainer. Or like the pothole situation, this is an issue that brings like-minded people together. And, when we're sitting around and we're all kind of the same mindset as opposed to just everybody in town, we end up chatting. And why wouldn't the kids be the same way?
Or yeah, exactly. And that's fine.
Right?
That is fine, because you know what? These kids have their own thoughts, their own ideas, their own takes on things, and we need to let them explore that. I think that it would be a wonderful thing. Could you imagine a show on gun channels?
What are the teenagers like these days? Like the Elmo? Not sure what the teenagers like anymore.
Who knows?
Etch-a-Sketches?
Don't ask me, brother. I don't have any myself. So, but could you imagine a let's say a weekly show on a Saturday, or Saturday morning or mid-afternoon, when there's really nothing going on gun channels, having a show, set a time slot set aside for a show put on by teenagers, let's say from 13 to 19 years old, and they discuss, their likes and dislikes when it comes to different types of firearms, or they discuss, you know, the hunting techniques that they like to use, or, their own ideas when it comes to the Second Amendment. I think that would be a way. And once these things start airing on YouTube, they're going to pick up momentum. Why? Because kids search out kid channels.
Well, except maybe not on their grandpa's video platform, but if you get the kids interested in the gun streamer where they can actually see their channel ranking to the other kids and they can compete, which they want to do, anyway, because they're young, then imagine what they're going to do with a whole lifetime worth of putting effort into various channels in different directions and new outlooks. And
not only that, it would give them a sense of community in that they would know that they're not the only ones out there that that are pro gun, that knows how to take care of guns, how to be responsible and safe with guns.
and it
And
is, wouldn't be an array.
it would combat all of the brainwashed youth that's out there now, that listens to their parents or their teachers or whoever is telling them, well, guns are these evil things, they're no good, they're for killers and homicidal maniacs. And then there's this group of kids putting out pro gun videos, pro Second Amendment videos, pro hunting videos. I'm all in, dude. I'm all in. I think it would be a wonderful addition to gun channels.
Now, they have programs around there where you are outlaw, I know around here they have youth hunts where they pair youth up with experienced hunters and stuff like that, and they set aside certain weekends for them to go hunt, like to go get deer or turkey or something like that. I've got a buddy who volunteers for that every year.
That's cool. I don't know if they do anything like that around. Like I said before, I don't have any children of my own.
Could you imagine getting to take a young boy out and help him get his first deer or something like that?
Oh yeah, well that I've not taken one out to get his first deer. What I have done is taken them out to help them catch their first fish, and show them how to tie hooks on lines, or how to bait a hook for the first time. And even if it's just a bluegill that first fish is, there's a level of excitement there, and it instantly hooks them. And I've had them tell me, I want to catch something bigger now. Let's catch something bigger. And general way I tell them is, well, let's leave it up to the fish what bites next, because it's kind of hard to pick and choose. You get pretty much what Mother Nature allows you to have at this point.
That's true.
But once they catch that first one, and it instills a patience in them. They learn that it's not all instant gratification. Sometimes you have to wait a little while for that fish to come, but when it comes, it'll be worth it. And then you show them different aspects of the fishing. Okay, well, today we're using bait. Tomorrow we're going to use some lures. I'm going to show you how to cast the lure out, bring it back, use it effectively, and catch a fish. Same way with firearms. Let's start out today with single shot rifle. I'm going to show you how to load this, treat it safely. Tomorrow we're going to move up to a bolt action.
I can still remember. I mean, I, like most kids my age, started out with a BB gun. We all did. And then there was, your dad finally took you out and let you shoot a real gun first time. Everybody remembers that. You'd have moments like that.
Yep. G, you would probably be the one to find out. How do you think that there are any gun channel members out there with kids that would be willing to let their children do a weekly show like that?
You know as many people as I do. I mean, I don't know. Definitely don't keep track of who has kids.
Mm, mm.
I mean, unless they talk about it. I think Snob has kids. Dead Horse has kids. Making them do shit. I don't want to make kids do shit.
Oh no, well, that's why I said allow. I wouldn't want to force them to do something that they didn't want to do, because we do this because it's our choice, because we want to, and it has to be the same for them. If they feel like we're forcing them into it, then they ain't gonna be wanting to do it, and they're gonna lose interest in it, and they're not gonna feel like it's theirs. And that's what it has to be. It has to be something where it feels like, okay, this belongs to us. We control this. We control the content. It's ours, and that's the way it should be. It's their show. Let them run it.
Exactly, and that's the thing. I can't even imagine how interesting they could make the Second Amendment just because of their whatever their crazy ass kid perspective on it now.
Yeah, exactly. It's a new take on an old fight that me, Gary, we're old, we're salty, we've been at this a long time, we have our own thoughts and way of looking at things. These kids, 13, 14, 15, 16 years old, is going to have a completely new and different perspective on it. And I think that I would love to see it. I would honestly love to see that.
It would be valuable because it would be because they're aware of their influences on them now, from school or whatever, the anti or whatever influences they might get. Their content would reflect or would address, I guess, whatever those influences are, right? Like if they're getting this message XYZ at school or something, they're going to be able to address that message XYZ. When we look at it, it looks like message 1, 2, 3 because we're not being told it for the first time and getting it every day in school. You know what I mean? So they're going to just have a different perspective on the whole damn thing.
Well, and having a platform of their own gives them a chance to combat the basic brainwashing that they're getting from public school systems when it comes to firearms.
It'd be good just to remind them that they do have control over what they do and what's going on out there, and that they don't have to just be fed, because I'm sure that everything they're getting is like, look how easy it is to get fed. Sit back and enjoy a tub of creamy goodness and get fed our programming.
Yeah, pretty much. And yes, G, I'll drop that link for you, sir.
Or you could give me a wrench.
Well, I thought I already had you a wrench.
I got more than one account. Not a single account.
Oh, well.
Gary's got a wrench. Thanks, Gary.
You're welcome.
Well, I tell you what. Now your other account has a wrench.
Yeah, dude. Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome.
That was weird. I put the link in, hit enter. It popped up and then gave me the wrench and went live.
It's like it knew.
It read my mind. But yeah, man. Guys, I encourage you, if you have children out there and you're interested in this, hit me up. I will discuss it with you. I will help you set it up. I'm sure G Webbs would be willing to do what he could. I know Gary would. And there's plenty of other resources over here on gun channels that would be more than willing to step up and help you set up a channel. They will, you come up with a logo, I'll talk to Ghost. Ghost is great with logos. We'll get his hand in there to create a logo for the channel. And we could do this. We could set these kids up to give them a place of their own on gun channels. And through gun channels, we could go to GunTube, YouTube, all these other platforms. And
platforms. But okay, I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, we all know that gun channels is the best platform. We understand that.
Oh no, I just mean I'd rather teach kids that, like, hey, you can do what you want. This is the internet. This is like publishing. Publishing doesn't mean you get to read a book written by somebody else. It means you get to write. You get to be part of the conversation and part of the creation of literature. So now we have that ability. So that's all I'm saying is I don't want to encourage kids like, hey, get online so that you can get on YouTube and Facebook. Like I want to say, get online and then change the internet.
Oh, like, exactly. Guess what would you think about all that? What's your opinion? If you've been listening.
I've been eating. What's going on?
Well, we're talking about getting a channel set up for teenagers to push gun rights, to talk about their take on the Second Amendment and their take on gun safety and their take on this and that concerning gun rights. But, guys our age, we've been doing this a long time, and kids aren't really going to be very interested in watching one of our channels. Let's face it, we're old. They see an old guy on an old channel, they're not going to care. But if they see a kid, somebody their age, doing this, talking this sort of thing, I think that it would draw them in. It would gain their interest. And I think that what it would do is encourage more and more to do the same. And these kids are the ones that's going to be fighting in the future, to the fight that we are fighting right now. And it would give them a leg up on how to deal with it and how to communicate.
I don't think a channel like going, hey, here's a channel, go use it. Welcome to your room. I would say encourage some of the kids that are in the sports or into hunting or something and are sharing their hunting adventures or even fishing, right? That are into 2A but into fishing too. We know a lot of people like that. We tell them, hey, gun channels is a place where you're welcome to be part of the conversation and build your own channel. You're not talking to old people who don't understand how to click on shit. We're talking about kids who, once they decide to do something, they just do it. And if they don't know it, they learn it in 5 minutes and then continue on. But letting them know that they're welcome and inviting them, I think, is a way to get them in here, as opposed to trying to build something that's like, hey, here's your own little place.
Yeah, exactly. It would be theirs. Let them put the content out there. Let them decide what they want to discuss. And, from a teenager's perspective. Ghost, your take?
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. I think that, the problem, my daughter's 21, so it hasn't been that long since she was in high school. But I just remember in high school, she's on her phone constantly, and it's using apps, it's using, you know, Snapchat and all this stuff. I think if they start understanding that there's more to the internet than just an app and all of that, then I think it helps them. Not only does it help obviously spread the message of the Second Amendment or the outdoors community as a whole, but I think it does. It's going to teach them communication skills. It's going to teach them how to talk to people that they may not know, which will help them in job interviews. It'll help them in college interviews. So yeah, I think it helps a lot of different ways.
And again, I've said it from the beginning of this chat tonight. A teenager is more likely to listen to another teenager's channel than they are one of ours. We get that. We understand that. That's just life in general. But when these teenagers start hearing other teenagers talk about pro-gun or pro-hunting or pro-fishing content, putting that kind of stuff out there, and it goes against what they're learning in school and being indoctrinated to believe, then I think we have a chance to combat the ideology war that's going on within our school systems compared to what's going on in the homes of gun-owning Americans.
Well, I know a lot of them may feel isolated too in their own environment where there may be a school and there may only be a handful of people that share, pro 2A beliefs in a particular school or something. And they may feel like they're being ostracized or something like that. But if they can get in a community and find out that they're not the only ones in this world that have those views, there are kids throughout the country that think just like they do, and they can share stories and they can share interests and stuff like that. And all of a sudden they find out they're not alone.
No, they'll probably find out there's thousands of kids across this country that think the same way they do, but they're in the same situation. They go to school, they hear how evil guns are. They go to, anywhere else, they hear about how bad guns are. They watch TV, they hear about how evil it is to own a gun. And that's just a way for them to combat that on on another kid's level, another teenager's level.
I think the problem that I see, and I don't see a problem with this, but the problem I see, there are a lot of kids that are out there that have Instagram accounts that do competitive shooting, or they have YouTube channels that do that. Unfortunately, I know some of these kids, and it seems to me that once they get going, and it's just like any other sport, mom and dad tend to take over and want to run their channel, run the content. If they get any kind of fame at all whatsoever, they want to kind of control that. And I think that might also have a thing to do with maybe they don't get involved in that stuff, is because they want to have something that mom and dad aren't going to control. And I think that's why you see a lot of kids, and they do makeup stuff, and they do hair stuff, and they do all that stuff because it's not something that mom and dad particularly care about. But I think if you start getting to a subject of outdoors and fishing and hunting and competitive shooting, I just worry that moms and dads would try to take over. And we need to make sure that kids understand that, mom and dad don't always have to be involved with everything. And I think that's, I don't know, maybe I'm just fetching, but I do see a lot of that sometimes. And it's kind of frustrating when you see a channel completely change when mom and dad get involved.
Well, and see, that's the wonderful thing about what I had mentioned earlier about like a time slot midday Saturday when nobody else is doing anything, and they have a general panel chat like we're doing now. 6 kids talking about gun stuff, two-way stuff, outdoor stuff amongst themselves like we're doing here, holding a conversation. And one of them's parents might be trying to push it, but the other kid's parents aren't. So that conversation is not going to be so one-sided.
Yeah, I tell you, and I don't know if you guys have talked about this before, but maybe an idea to get it going is not necessarily trying to start a show right away, but maybe we do like a Young Guns or something like that, a dedicated lobby chat on Saturdays, and tell kids, hey, there's this chat that's open to anyone that wants to come in, and you guys feel free to talk amongst yourselves. And maybe you start out maybe as a lobby type chat, and then maybe it evolves into one or two of these kids that are in the lobby chats every week. They kind of take the reins and start their own thing. But maybe if it wasn't like a dedicated thing or a show or anything, it was just a lobby, a chat room for them to come hang out in and feel safe in. Maybe that's a way to think about it to start out.
I think as long as somebody moderated it to where somebody...
Well, sure. I mean, it would obviously have to have someone moderating it, yeah.
Yeah,
there's some weird adults out there.
Yes, there are.
Moderating is one thing, but I think that whoever we get to moderate that chat has to be willing to step aside and let the kids do what they need to do. They sit back and listen. That's all. If they start getting out of line, this, that, and the other, then maybe type something in the side chat. Okay, you need to calm this down a little bit, But as a general rule, let the kids be themselves. Let them have the conversation that they feel they need to have.
And see, I agree with that, but I would say the moderating for me, this is just for me, is I'm a big proponent of every person has a voice. No matter how old you are, you deserve to have your voice. And I think you should just let it go. Let them take whatever direction they want to, as long as there's no bullying. There's none of that stuff. But even to the extent where the moderation for me would be adults can come in there, but do not chastise, do not try to get in conversations that these kids probably wouldn't have on their own. Don't try to get political with them unless they take it to the political side. But
And ask
I'd
your
say
opinion.
moderate the adult side of it instead of I'd let the kids go as long as there's no bullying or whatever. I'd let it go. Let them
Oh
feel
yeah,
safe and comfortable.
I agree wholeheartedly, and that's what I'm saying. I mean, the moderator would just be there to make sure that everything stays on an even keel, but let them take it anywhere they want to take it, and you know, and it's going to serve more than one purpose, like you said earlier. And not only is it going to help them to be able to communicate with each other, not only is it going to help them in when they further their careers or go to college or what have you, but it's also going to get them a foot in the door in this whole two-way community in a way that I didn't have or you didn't have. They're starting off as teenagers knowing how to combat those issues when they arise in 20 years.
Well, the cool thing about it would be is even if it's not just like a gun chat, it's an outdoor, like you said, hunting, fishing, whatever. I mean, it could even start out as much as you get teenagers in Washington State and teenagers in Alabama saying, it's hunting season. What are you guys hunting? Are you guys seeing anything cool stuff? And they even talk about, different stuff they hunt because everywhere has different things that are better for hunting, or what kind of lure are you using for this, or I'm going trout fishing. What's all sorts of stuff. It doesn't have to be just
Let
guns. It's let them take it where it wants to go.
Exactly. Let them do the same thing we do on our chats, especially on mine, because we all know that I very rarely have a specific topic when I do these panel chats. Tonight's a bit of a different story. We've stuck with this one for pretty much the whole show so far. But let them decide where it's going to go. If they have a specific topic, that's fine. Other than that, let them take it where they need to take it to fill an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours. And it's let them be in control of the content. Let them have their own minds about it. Let them say what they think needs to be said.
Well,
And
that's what, yeah. I mean, that's what I was thinking is if you just open up a lobby
yeah, exactly.
and it's
And
open for 8 hours and they can come and go as they please and,
yeah, exactly, man. And it would be
talk about whatever
great.
the hell they want to talk about.
Exactly. Exactly. It would
It's
be
a safe place.
a safe place for kids to talk about hunting, fishing, guns, video games, if that's what they want to talk about, or pizza. Because God knows we've talked a lot about pizza.
It's sad, but we all know it's true. There are kids out there that don't have friends. And as much as we would like to think that everyone's got a friend, there are kids that really don't have any friends in their local place. And wouldn't it be great to offer a safe haven for these kids to connect with people from around the country that might feel the same way and could bolster their own confidence that, every Saturday from 12 to 8, I've got a place I can go hang out with some friends, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? It serves a second purpose is, hey, if they're on gun channels, they're not doing drugs.
Yeah, you hope not.
If they're talking to people on gun channels, they're not out, destroying somebody's property. You know, uh, and guys, I think it's a wonderful idea, and I think that it you know what? Let me ask you guys out in the chat that's been listening to this show for the last little while. What do you guys think out in the chat about this? Do you agree with us that it would be a good idea, or do you think that maybe we're overstepping? What is your opinions on it? Let's get your guys' opinions on this because you're part of this community as much as me or Ghost or G Webs or Gary, and a lot of you guys out there have your own channels. So I'd love to have your opinions and then make you part of this conversation we're having tonight. So if you've got an opinion, throw it out there. And I can tell you right now, I believe Clover would be on board with this in a split second. I don't think he'd have one issue with it.
I know
I
you
don't
guys
think anyone will
got
have an issue. Sorry, Gary. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I know you guys are out there watching. I can see the numbers out there, so don't be shy. Get in.
Yeah, exactly. I know Armament's out there. I've seen him, and there's several others. So,
You're not gonna hurt her feelings.
oh no, never.
I don't have feelings, so it's all good.
William says my son has asked me about guns because of video games. Well, that's where a lot of kids get introduced to such things. But you don't. You just learn bits and pieces of the story with video games. I mean, you
tell you,
tell them the difference between guns on a video game and real guns and stuff like that. Go ahead, guys.
I was saying a funny story is my daughter's boyfriend. He's from Texas, and he came up to visit. He's come a couple times. The first time he came up to visit, he's never shot a gun before, and he he watches the show and he knows I'm a gun guy, so he kind of expected to want to go shoot some guns while I was here visiting, and so I kind of showed him a bunch of my guns and say, well, which ones would you want to go to the range? Which ones do you want to go shoot? And he sees my Beretta CX4 Storm, the carbine, and he says, "Oh my gosh, that's the gun that so and so uses on this game." And I was like, "I'm sorry, And he goes, "Yeah, I play this online game, and that's one of the guns they use." And I was like, "Oh, okay, so obviously you want to shoot that." But it's like you said. I mean, some of these people only know guns from video games, but to see him, and I took him out to the range, and we shot ARs and AKs and carbines and handguns and everything in between, and he loved it. And I think one of the reasons why is he plays a lot of shooting games, but he never shot a gun. And now he has that experience when you're playing a game. You've actually fired that weapon, or you fired similar weapons, and you're like, I know what this feels like. I know what it's like. And it kind of makes the game more fun for him at some point.
Right.
Oh, absolutely. And I tell you what's amazing. You play a video game, and then you actually shoot a real AR for the first time, and you're like, oh wow, this is nothing like the video game at all.
Right, exactly.
I actually don't hit every time I pull the trigger. Wow.
Yeah, there's no such thing as auto aim in real life,
Exactly. You have to do your part, or the gun ain't gonna do it. And that's just the thing. More than once, I've heard kids, talk about how great they are at shooting, and what they're talking about is on a video game. And I was like, well, have you ever done it in real life? And the answer is, well, no. And I said, there's a difference.
There's not unlimited ammo.
Yeah, there's not unlimited ammo, and you actually have to be able to aim that rifle. You don't have a little cursor or a little red dot that you can put exactly where you want it, pull the trigger and hit, especially if the target's moving.
And then when I pick up handguns, I can remember, when I was a kid, I had a shotgun, and I had access to rifles and stuff like that, and I was pretty decent shot in my day. And then when I got to be in my 50s, I started into the handguns, and it's like, that's a whole new world. You've got this short sight radius and a little bitty gun is shooting a great big bullet out of it, and to master that, it takes a great deal of practice. You just don't pick one up and immediately. It looks like you ought to be able to hit that bullseye. It's not that far away, but it's like, oh wow, I'm going to have to work on this. And you get better and you get better. And it becomes a contest against yourself as to see how good you can.
So we've been joined by Armament Axis. Armament, what's your take on all this? What do you think about kids getting their own free time on gun channels to discuss Second Amendment issues, outdoor life, or what have you?
I'm all for it. I can say this, that my kids grew up just like I did. They learned to shoot at a young age. I had both my kids shooting in bowling pin matches with 22 pistols, they were about 9, 10, and they were doing all right, and you got to look at the whole spectrum of everything that's going on. And the left is trying to push out the training, the part where, no, we need to educate kids, and no, we need to not, no, oh, guns are bad. And, I grew up in a time when my brother would take his shotgun to school and put it in his locker, and everybody knew it was there, and he'd go hunt rabbits after school. You see what I mean? And it's just getting to the point where it's like, no, we need to train our kids. That's what I said. I'm so happy that, I'm 52. My kids are, I started early, but my kids grew up in a time period where I took them and I said, this is shooting, this is guns. And I honestly, I did not have to worry. I kept my guns locked up. I didn't have to worry about my kids messing with my guns. That if they wanted to shoot something or handle a gun, they go, hey, Dad. And I go, well, yeah, okay. And we grunt like Tim Allen. I mean, you know what I mean? And it's different times. This is definitely different times we're living in.
Oh yeah, definitely. And like I said, I think it would give these kids, like Ghost also said, a safe place where they could discuss pro 2A issues amongst themselves and don't have to worry about peer pressure coming down on them or other kids looking at them like they're complete and total idiots for liking or owning or shooting a gun. These evil things that the media keeps pushing on them. I think that I think it would be a great idea, and I think I'm going to pursue this a little further and maybe actually get it out there.
I honestly, you should. I mean, oh, by the way, good evening, Ghost. Good evening, Gizzard.
Good evening.
Honestly, you have to think about this. It's somewhere back in our educational system and the way the left went that something got a little lost. Now we better, like I said, at my age, I've seen this stuff, and it's like we better go back and go, we need to fix some of this because this is not going in the direction we need to. And if you can influence our youth and get them more involved into, the left indoctrinates them easily. They give them, they feed them. They're like mushrooms. They feed them BS. They keep them in the dark. They feed them BS. You know what I mean? And we have to educate them to a point of, wake up, look around you, pay attention, realize what's bullshit, realize what isn't, and be prepared. You see what I mean? So much of that's got lost.
But see, and I would say that I agree with most of that, but for just play devil's advocate here, I do disagree with the fact that we have to be the one teaching. I don't think that necessarily is the case. I think that if you give the kids a place, they feel like they can learn on their own instead of being preached at by mom and dad or adults, and they get a place to learn on their own. I think they're going to be much more apt to do that, because what if there's a kid that likes to go hunt with his dad, but he doesn't know much about guns, but he's a 14-year-old kid. No one likes to have dad preaching to him. But now I can go to this place and people are talking about it and they know a lot more about me. Well, guess what? I get to learn from people that I don't mind learning from instead of mom and dad. So I understand exactly what you're saying and I agree with it. But I think that the fact that the kids can teach themselves and they can learn on their own and they can get intrigued by something another kid says where they hear it from an adult and they just discard it because it's an adult. I think that that's probably what we're missing also, is I think that kids don't want to listen to us. They don't want to hear what we're saying. When they get older, they'll appreciate some of this stuff, but I don't think that kids want to hear mom and dad preaching Second Amendment. I think they maybe it's better if they learn on their own and appreciate it more. I don't know. Maybe it's just me.
But they may ask questions.
If they ask questions, that's a whole different thing.
Like when we hear this at school, how should we respond? My teacher says this. What do you think? And we could be available, to say.
That's right. Be available, but not preach. That makes sense, or not force it to them.
You know, we're told that guns are evil. You know, are guns evil? No, guns have been around for a long, long time. Evil is evil. And,
You know, yeah.
yeah, you know, the lack of respect for fellow human beings, that's evil. Guns aren't evil. Guns have been around forever.
You know, the thing about it is the most compelling argument for that would be this: the first person on record ever killed was killed with a rock, not a gun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's interesting that I'll take my wife, and my wife's in her 40s, and she's not a gun person. She doesn't like guns. She grew up in a culture, in a country that guns were not prevalent. So it's not that she's afraid of them. She just has zero interest in them. But even she knows that guns aren't evil. And it's not because I preach to her. I don't even talk to her about guns, but she sees how I am with them, and how I'm passionate about them. And she knows if someone was to come up to her and start preaching guns are evil, even though she could give two shits about guns, she's going to sit there and say, no, they're not. My husband's got a ton of them, and not one of them has ever harmed anybody. And so I think that if you necessarily not preach to people, kids or adults at all, but you just lead by a good example, that's as big as anything.
Exactly.
I totally agree. You know, my ex-wife, she shot a little, but she was not, you know, she wasn't a shooter or anything, and you know, she wasn't anti-gun, but to this day, I mean, we're still friends. We got kids. It's a long story, but to this day, oh no, she's pro 2A, and don't you tell her any otherwise. I got a good friend of mine I've known since I was 13. He's a musician. I'm a musician. You know, that's one of the reasons we clicked. Now he shot guns a little bit when we were teenagers with me, but he doesn't own a gun. But he is very pro 2A, and the only reason he doesn't own a gun is he's like, I'm afraid I might screw up, shoot myself. And he's got some kids in the house, and it's like that all comes with training, just training about it. But the guy is very pro 2A, but doesn't own a gun.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, my wife will never. I mean, she said, "Don't ask me to shoot a gun. I'm not going to do it," and that's fine. But I think that, like I said, it's not that she's pro Second Amendment, but I think that she's been around enough to know that if someone was to come to her, or she overhears a conversation being talking about this, that, and the other, she knows enough to sit there and say, "That's not true," or I know that's not true because my husband this, or she knows enough that she may not be pro 2A, but she's definitely not against guns. She just doesn't care for them. But I think that's what we've done is instead of forcing it down her throat, I just have tried to do my thing and show her that these are just tools. These are not evil weapons. The weapon is the evil person behind some of these guns.
Ghost, I was, you know, going back to what you were saying earlier about it doesn't need to be the dad because you might have some you know,
Yeah, sure.
that honestly, I learned from my uncle. It's a long story in my family.
Yeah, there you
history.
go.
There was no bad blood, but I'm just saying, no, whoever you can learn it from, and some you know, depending on the teenager or the child in that what's going on in their life, they might have some angst against one person or the other, but you were saying these camps and these things that, yeah, really, if you can teach these youngsters the Constitution, their rights, the pro 2A, that any way you can, Clover through 4-H, really, there you go. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? I agree with the ghost as well. And I think tonight we've hit on a topic that would set this group of kids, if we are able to get this thing up off the ground and running, it would set these kids up to be able to have a smart, intelligent argument years down the line why guns aren't evil, why they are important in this country, and why they are actually here to protect us and not the evil weapons that they're made out to be.
Hey, I wonder if 1,500 years ago, if people argued that swords were evil.
Well,
Is
I'd say they probably did, considering most of the governments back then disarmed their populace.
Yeah,
I was going to say, most of the time, the only ones that had the swords were
yeah, the elite.
government.
Yes, yeah. Point being, though, I mean, yeah, my hammer's evil. My truck's evil. Yeah, it's getting pretty thin. How about
Yeah.
the person's evil? And this is one thing I've always said, that evil will always exist and good people will always exist. There's good and evil. It's the yin and yang, the whole, yeah. Look, and you've read it several times. The only thing that stops evil is a good person kind of thing. And it's, what is the phrase? The only thing it takes for evil to exist is for good people to do nothing, kind of thing. Yeah, that's exactly right. You don't do yep. And there isn't an evil object. It doesn't boil down to anything inanimate. It boils down to people. You're gonna have
Right.
evil people. You're gonna have evil people. You better be.
As long as there's evil hearts, there's going to be evil people.
Yep.
And there's nothing you can do about that. And that evil can come from anybody, anywhere, from any part of society.
The only thing you can do is guard against it.
Exactly.
And it doesn't even take really any special tools to do it. If you want to be evil, you don't need a gun.
No.
I mean, I've got kitchen knives, I've got baseball bats, I've got tools out in my shed.
I got a screwdriver.
And if you're close enough, and I could harm somebody with them. I don't. I have no intention of ever harming anybody. So it's person. It's not what's around them, because anything could be a weapon. Some people can kill another man with their bare hands, for example. Many people are skilled enough to do that. Does it make them evil? No.
It's all tools, and the weapon is the person that's actually holding that tool, and that's the bottom line. That's
You can kill somebody with a remote control if you wanted to.
You can kill somebody with a pencil. Yeah, Ghost. Look, you know something? Peace to all, stay 2A strong. That's one of my mottos. It's like, man, I am a peace-loving guy. I just want us to all get along. But if some idiot's gonna not be peaceful, we're probably gonna stop it pretty quick. Stay 2A strong. See what I'm saying? It's weird. So, somebody asked me, they're like, how can you say peace to all but stay 2A strong? And I went, well, stop and think about it. Really, stop and think about it. Peace. I want peace among all of us. But if you're going to threaten my life, I'm 2A strong. Get it? Yeah. I had to explain it to him like 7 times, and they're like, oh, now I get it. I'm like, yeah, scratch my head. Anyway, yeah.
Yeah, if you had to explain that to him 7 times, I don't think he actually did get it.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, we all get it. We understand it. But,
It goes back to the old saying, it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. And that's true with a lot of things, and especially true with firearms. I don't ever want to have to use my gun in self-defense. That's the last thing I want. Do not push me to that point, because I will.
Outlaw, this is the funny thing. I've been carrying for over 11 years now. This thing on my hip, it doesn't matter what I'm carrying. That thing's heavy. But I'm glad it's there.
Exactly.
Just like my pocket knife. Honestly, think how many times you might use your pocket knife for random things, and it's there when you need it. It's a tool. And thank God I have not had to use this. I've only had one time where I put my hand on it because something was happening, and I went, Okay, and it de-escalated fast. Okay, but it was there if needed.
Yep.
It's like the utility belt's getting heavy. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, but better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it.
I agree. And on that one, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to call this one done for the night. G Webs is about to start up the Daily Gun Show. I hope each and every one of you goes there and joins him. Unfortunately, I cannot. I have to be up for work in the morning. Yay me.
So do I.
And I know Ghost has some golf course work to take care of tomorrow. So everybody has to be up to head off to that place we call work. And with that being said, I'm going to run it through the panel. Gary, you got anything to plug?
I don't have anything to plug at this point in time for myself. I would like to plug I'd like to plug gunchannels.com. That's where we all meet. That's where we all come together. It's free. If you're not already a member, well, get over there to gunchannels.com and join. Also, check out guntube.org. It's a place we've created to share Second Amendment videos. Also, gunstreamer.com, another really great place to share your Second Amendment videos and like, share, and subscribe to everybody on this panel, especially the Outlaw Hatfield. And thank you for the invite. It's been a great show.
Thank you, Gary. Ghost, how about you, buddy? What you got coming up?
I got nothing. Just get out there and shoot. Be more proficient with your firearm and go save a life.
Amen, brother. Armament.
The first thing I'm gonna say is I got an email the other day from a place called Sticker Mule. Get these many stickers. I think it was like Black Friday and Cyber Monday and blah blah blah. But our first official swag is coming. 3-inch circle stickers. Got a good deal on them. You might want to go check out Sticker Mule. They might still be offering the deal. It happened on a whim, and I just went there and I went, really, these many stickers? Sweet. Other than that, we shot video last weekend. We shot one this past weekend, hoping to get something out. I did win the 704 Tactical. I won his first prize thing, and I got a Faxon barrel and a lot of other stuff. That video should be coming out soon. Yeah, we're trying, man. I just got a new camera. It ain't the greatest, but we used it last weekend, and it actually did really good. So, you know, it's a work in progress, man. So check us out. That's all I can say. Peace to all. Stay 2A strong, right?
You just keep on keeping on, Armament. We got
We
you back, brother. Okay, guys, we are about to get out of here. Before we go, I want to say this. I'm going to start working on this whole kids and gun channels thing. I have decided I'm going to try to get that up and off the air. If any of you guys got any kind of suggestions, you know my email address, theoutlawhatfield@gmail.com or ellishatfield@gmail.com. That's both of them right there. Send me a message, there. If you can't get a hold of me, send one to Ghost. He can get it to me. If Ghost don't mind doing that.
Not at all.
And I'm gonna get up with these guys again, Ghost, Gary, maybe get a hold of Clover, and we're gonna sit down one of these days, or try to, and try to get this thing hashed out and figure out how we could get this up and running, and then we'll try to get it going. And hopefully some of the gun channels people out there with kids or teenagers that are willing to come on here and discuss things and have these chats. If you've got your kids out there and they'd be willing to do that, let's get them on it. Ask them about it, talk to them about it. Don't force them. We don't want that. We don't want them to feel forced. We want them to do this because they want to do this. And let's see if we can get this thing up and going. Guys, I thank you. God bless you. Good night. I love you.
Give them the bird.
And give them the bird.